So today's Festival of Madness deal is one that is introducing a card that has never before been seen in Legends, and that is Madness Beckons. The deal itself is 2,000 gold or 10 bucks, and it does come with some packs, and you will get premium copies of Madness Beckons, which, as you can see on the screen, is very, very pretty in premium. Maybe one of the best premiums in the game up to date. And you'll also notice, because I have it on the screen right here, you cannot craft this. This is only available during this deal. It's just like Cheesemancer, and we don't know when this will come up again, so this is your one and only window to get this. Now, it's a 48-hour sale, just like Cheesemancer was, so by the time I get this posted, there should be like 30-something hours left. But again, just go check the shop if you don't want to miss out on this card. Because it is time limited, and I'll talk about that at the end of this video and what I feel about that. But Madness Beckons. This is a neutral, one-cost action. It says put a random Isle of Madness card into your hand. So when Cheesemancer was revealed, we got to see the text of cards ahead of time, but didn't get to see the cards themselves. Madness Beckons actually puts Isle of Madness cards into your hand. Now, this is from a very specific pool. There are 6 possible outcomes. But we have officially found out what those are, so this is the start of Isle of Madness reveal season, like officially, because we're going to get to see 6 cards. I'm going to go ahead and actually put a picture up on the screen right now while I talk, so that we can talk about each of the cards individually, and then I'm also going to double back once we've seen all 6 cards and talked about them and their potential impact, because I want to talk about the impact of Madness Beckons as well. So, let's start with Fortress Guard. 4-cost, 3/4 willpower card, and it has guard. On summon, you may discard a card to summon a 2/2 Colovian Trooper in the other lane. So, potential for a 5/6 worth of stats for a 4-cost investment. That seems pretty good. The summon effect is optional, so you don't have to discard. I think this is a very good arena card. I think that this card has a lot of potential in combo decks. It certainly has synergy with cards like Falkreath Defiler, for example. You can targeted pitch things from your hand. You can also just pitch low value cards. Like, you could treat this the same way Corner Club Gambler was treated. You could try to put things like Dagger in your hand, or run Mudcrab Merchants, or Marked Man is a great candidate because it's already in willpower for, you know, basically turning your makeshift defenses into a 2/2 with guard. And this card also has the potential to have an impact in Unite the Houses, because the Colovian Trooper that it creates is an endurance card. So if you were to run, for example, Halalu Unite the Houses, this card counts as another color, just like Jarl Balgruf is oftentimes used in Tribunal to create red. But this could open up maybe a Halalu version of Unite, where then you only have to find blue. So yeah, interesting. Next up, and this one's going to be the subject of a lot of discussions, you've got Grummite Magus. This is a 7-cost strength creature. It is a 5/5 guard, and on summon, your opponent discards the highest cost action in their hand. So this is your Hallowed Death Priest, but for actions, essentially. Now, it's a 7-cost 5/5, so if you're running an aggressive deck, or I'm going to be honest, even if you're running like a mid-range deck, this probably just isn't good enough to run there. The kind of stuff you would want to hit with this would be, you know, maybe Red Year, maybe Conscription is the one that's going to immediately come to a bunch of people's minds, and things like that. But if you're running an aggressive or a mid-range deck, like, your goal is to win before those are a threat anyway. And a 7-cost 5/5 that doesn't do anything else to the board isn't as useful as, like, even Belligerent Giant, because that affects the tempo on the board and it attacks for more. So this is really more like a control or a combo card. You would run this in maybe control decks if you're worried about other control decks outvaluing you, but that's the other half of this card that I find interesting, is that it's in strength. Because if you're in strength and you're playing control, you're probably playing Unstoppable Rage, and if you're playing Unstoppable Rage, then you really don't care about Conscription until after they've played Journey, because a lot of times you wait for them to play Conscription, and then you play a big splashy combo from your hand and just one-shot them with Unstoppable Rage. So I'm not sure this belongs in that deck either. And as such, like, I'm not sure where this belongs at all, at least right now. Now, it's possible with Isle we get more high-cost actions that you want to target or you want to get rid of, or maybe there's other effects that you can create or interact with this. I don't know, but this is actually a pretty clunky card in its current design for what you would ideally want to hit with this, right? So I don't know. Again, like, we haven't seen Isle, so we're only going off of the cards that we already know exist in our initial impressions, but my initial impression is that this card doesn't have a home yet. Fortress Guard kind of fell into that same role for me. I think you could play that in Unite, maybe try it out in something like Tokens, but I think Fortress Guard's actually just a really good arena card, but doesn't necessarily have a home either until we see Isle. Next up, we have Icy Shambles. Icy Shambles actually looks impressive. It is a 4-cost 2/3. On summon, deal 2 damage to a creature, and shackle creatures damaged by Icy Shambles. So this is, I'll be honest, it's basically just an upgrade over Ash Servant. The only downside is this is a skeleton, so this dies to Dawn's Wrath. Ash Servant does not, but otherwise you get an extra point of toughness, you get an additional effect on the creature, and it's a common, so in Arena you're more likely to see this than you are to see Ash Servant. The fact that this is a common is actually a really big deal in my opinion because of Arena. This is going to be a fantastic Arena card. I really like the utility here because it can help ping creatures, but even if they have something big, you don't have to feel bad about doing 2 damage to it because of the shackle. And then depending on the deck you're playing, this could pair pretty well with some other cards, right? Sword of Inferno, the crossbow, those now become things that would shackle creatures as well if played on Icy Shambles. There's just a lot of neat utility stuff that this card can open up, can potentially create. Do I think it'll be like top level constructed playable? I don't know. That's actually going to depend on whether or not I think it fits into a control deck, but it's definitely going to be an all-star in Arena. I'm just going to call it, and it's going to be a lot of fun in like new meme decks, right? Dress Tormentor and your other shackle based decks are really going to enjoy this, and yeah. Next up, Crazed Hunger. 2-cost 0/2, has charge, and Crazed Hunger has +2/+0 on your turn. So this is a cheap charging agility creature. This one will see play. I'm a big fan of this, and I think this is a natural fit in potentially like aggro Halalu that was already struggling to find consistent cheap green creatures to help trigger your Oathman. The fact that it is, it has charge, you can use it as pseudo removal, you can use it as burst. It's yet another cheap target to pair with Mentor's Ring in certain combo decks. So it is 1 Magicka cheaper than Bat, for example. I mean, you don't get the drain, but it is still cheaper than Bat. So that might matter at some point. I like this card. I mean, it's really just pseudo removal with upside or like a little bit of burst. But I do think it's good enough to find a home in some aggressive decks. And yeah, that's all I'm really going to say. Like, the +2/+0 on your turn thing is just one of those effects that doesn't have enough like gimmicks around it for me to go further in depth. But yeah, this is serviceable. Next up, we have Dark Seducer. 8-cost endurance creature. It is a 7/7 with Drain and Guard, and Dark Seducer drains on both turns. So this is naturally going to get compared to Orin Sentry because of the body and the cost and the effect. The big difference between the two, though, is that Orin Sentry heals you based on the damage it takes. Dark Seducer heals based on the damage that it does. So Orin Sentry, if it gets nuked with like lightning bolts but never damages one of your creatures, right? Like if somebody double bolts an Orin Sentry, you still gain health. It's not the case with Dark Seducer. Meanwhile, if somebody attacks Orin Sentry with, a 1/1, then you heal 1, whereas if they attack a Dark Seducer with a 1/1, you heal 7. So the fact that this is an epic and not a legendary is good for its arena status because it'll show up more often, and it's a very good card there. There is a chance that this could sneak its way into certain late game control decks. I could even see this having some viability in the ramp warrior decks that have been floating around because it does have drain, so it sets up fantastic unstoppable rages if it's left alive, and if it's not left alive, there's a chance that they have to crash creatures into it and you gain a bunch of health that way as well. So pretty powerful card. I'm looking forward to it. Will at least be experimented with as far as constructed goes, and will definitely see play in Arena. And then last up, we have your new favorite zoo lane creature, Giant Chicken. This is a 7-cost neutral 5/5 beast. Last gasp, fill this lane with 1/1 confused villagers. So obviously, it's a little bit of a play, a little bit of a joke, a gag, if you will, on the angry chicken card, but now it's giant. It's okay for a neutral card. Like, it's certainly arena playable, probably not constructed playable unless you're trying to build some sort of like hardcore beast theme deck, but it is the sort of thing that helps out like Elder Gleam Matron. I think that in a mid-range deck that's running Elder Gleam Matron, you're happy to pull this. In Chaos Arena events that have the zoo lane, this is an obvious like high roll. So, Giant Chicken, not, amazing, but fun card. So that's all 6. And now that we've looked at all 6, I want to circle back and talk about Madness Beckons, because this is a 1-cost card that in many ways you can compare it to something like Fabricate, where you got to like custom create a creature. In this case, there's no custom creation, but you do know what your pool is. It's going to be one of these 6, and that means this card has potential to be a pretty okay control or combo card. You can spend 1 Magicka to roll the dice and either get, one of 3 creatures with guard. It is worth noting that half of the available options all have guard, right? Control decks, okay with that. Icy Shambles and Crazed Hunger are both pseudo removal. They can take out smaller threats, so you're pretty okay with getting that. And then Giant Chicken is like the low roll if you're playing a control or a combo deck here. And it's a low roll for a couple of reasons. One, it's the only non-defensive option, but it's also the only colorless option, because I need to say out loud that Madness Beckons is basically a required card if you're going to be playing a Unite the Houses deck, in my opinion, because so many of these options stall. Even if you don't get a color you're missing, you can hopefully still get some tools to help keep you alive, and you do have a chance to get yourself a card of a color that you are missing so that you can try to win with Unite the Houses. So if you like Unite decks, I think Madness Beckons is a perfect card to stick in that deck. If you like just like weird value control decks, maybe it's worth running just to experiment with. It's certainly going to be a lot of fun in terms of like memes, but yeah, Madness Beckons I think is definitely playable in Unite the Houses decks, and I don't know how I feel about that because I'm not a big fan of Unite the Houses ever getting more powerful. It's the card that scares me the most from a design standpoint, because as much as people like to talk about uninteractive wins and Nixox combos and conscription decks, even Nixox combo can theoretically get interrupted by prophecies. Unite just wins, right? Like, there is no interactivity when somebody wins with Unite. And so when that increases in power, that always gets pretty scary to me personally. So Madness Beckons. Again, want to reiterate, this is a time-limited card. So I'm going to just actually hop back here and go to the deal. So as I'm filming this, 39 hours left to get this. Like I said, 2,000 gold or $10. I sadly will not get this card because I do not have 2,000 gold. I have been spending it with many of the other gold sinks. from this event, buying lots of like premium legendaries and things like that. So I sadly will not get it this time around. And we don't know when this card is coming back. And this is the only way to get this card, and this card is not currently craftable. So, this is my plea. Dear Bethesda, please don't do time-limited cards more frequently or in the future, or if you are going to do them, these, in my opinion, like this and Cheesemancer, really needs to be available again when Isle releases, and then be permanently available, because this is the first time, both with Cheesemancer and with this card, that we now officially have time-locked content that potentially locks fewer players out of getting them. Yes, we know that this will likely come back in the future. I would bet money on that, right? But we don't know when, or how, or in what capacity. So my concern is that people like me who miss this card, or future players who, start playing the game later. Let's just say, John Smith starts playing this game after the new year, right? They're on January 5th, they're booting up the game. They enjoy it. They're like, hey, this is pretty fun. Let me check out some stuff. And then they load up YouTube and they see good old Justin Larson playing a crazy meme deck that happens to run Madness Beckons, and he uses it to win with Unite the Houses, and the person who watches that video says, that looks pretty cool. I want to do that. I want to do what my favorite content creator just did. So they go to their collection and they're like, I'm gonna find this card, and there's no way for them to buy it, and they can't get it in packs, but then they're like, well, I could probably craft it, right? Because I can craft all of the monthly cards that I've missed, and then there's no way to craft it. And then they're going to go to the forums, or they're going to go to Reddit, or they're going to tweet at Legends, and they're going to say, hey, I want this card. I saw somebody use it, and I missed it, and I want to play with it. And somebody's going to go, well, it's not available now, but it'll be back. But we don't know when, or how, or in what capacity. And that's going to be a pretty feels bad moment. Like, you can say what you want about the cosmetics, and I have my own very strong opinions about some of those because I'm a collector and a completionist, but I understand and I accept that is, that's on me, right? Like, it's a lot of that's due to me being an addict and having some psychological things wired the wrong way. But this is cards, right? Like this is actual content, and there will be, at least for a period of time, no way for new players or players that who are like me who miss this card will not have a way to get it. So this is my public feedback, if you will, my request. Don't do more of this. This is bad. Unless this is on like a bi-weekly rotation where it's very frequently available, or even monthly. Maybe you say that this deal comes back every time Chaos Arena runs, and then we go back to running Chaos Arena monthly. Then at least I can say to the new player who just started, hey, save up your gold, and every time Chaos Arena runs, you can buy the Festival of Madness cards or something. But this, like, we don't know when it'll be back, indefinite period, and no way to craft it thing, kind of feels bad. And I know that, like, this card's probably not competitively viable. It's not going to win tournaments. I know that Cheesemancer is not competitively viable, but it's not always about competition. Like, people play this game to have fun, right? There are the Justin Larsons, and I love you, Justin. I'm not making fun of you. But there are the Justin Larsons out there, right? Who think that the experience is more important than the win. And if they see this and they think this is neat and they want to do something with it, but then they don't have access to it, that just feels bad. Since Legends launched, the cards have always been available to everybody, just through playing. And now, technically that's the case because of gold, but because of the 2,000 gold price tag that was on this, yes, it's available, but you can't make 2,000 gold in Legends in 2 days. Like, you just can't. There's not enough dailies that you can do in those 2 days, and there is a gold cap, even from the 3-win rewards, And at that point, when you reach it, then you just go to earning cards. So if you didn't already have the gold saved, you just miss out on this. Or, I mean, you could pay, right? But again, like, the core tenet was that the cards have always been available just through playing. And then with these time-locked cards, that's not going to be the case, at least for some period of time. Again, this could all be solved if they just give us a schedule of when these would be next available. Or maybe it's not solved, because maybe that schedule is like it'll be back for next year's festival, or maybe once every 6 months, and then that's a pretty long wait. That's a pretty big gap to get this card back, which would feel pretty bad. Listen, I want Legends to succeed, and I want more people to play the game, and it's a hard sell if I say, like, hey, you can start the game, but there are some cards that you just won't be able to get. And I know it's only 2 right now, but it is 2, right? It was 0, and now it's 2. Like, it was 0, and then it was 1, and now it's 2. Please don't make this, like, trend continue. This is my public request. This is my feedback, because it's just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say that I haven't already said, I guess, but it doesn't feel great to have actual cards locked behind stuff like that. So anyway, I've said my piece. I want to know what you guys think. Which of these cards from Isle of Madness are you most excited to play with and try? How do you plan on maybe abusing this card, the Festival of Madness card? Are you going to use it in Unite? Are you going to use it in something else? Let me know. I mean, it is exciting. We are officially, with today's thing, kind of in expansion reveal season. That's exciting. So, hooray! Hype. I'm trying to regain my excitement after going on a downer of a rant there. But anyway, let me know what you think about the cards revealed. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to me complain for like 5 minutes there. Thanks for watching, and until next time, may you walk on warm sands.